Hi, hello, how are you? It's another late night of editing. I appreciate your patience and I'm so honored that I can do this for you. Now, tonight's video is twice as long as the last one because I was able to position the microphone and the camera in such a way it was able to pick up the voices of the residents asking the questions much better. So when it came time to the editing process, it was much easier to amplify their voices and hear them clearly. So I hope you enjoy that. I will be dropping a comparison video on Thursday. So in each of the meetings, we asked different questions, but there was about 3 or 4 questions that were exactly the same. And we're going to put those side by side so you can see how differently or similarly they answered those questions. And then on Friday, I'll be dropping a full commentary on both videos. I hope you stick around for that. And for now, here is the 2022 Incumbent Meet and Greet. Enjoy.
My name is Colin Regan. I'm the current Ward 1 City Council member. I've been there for 2 years, learned a lot in the position. I'd like to keep building on the momentum that we have currently. I believe we've done a good job so far, and moving forward I want to continue with the momentum. You know, we've had a lot of good things happen in the last 2 years. You know, obviously everybody's sales are up from prior year. It's just been an all-around good year for the city, or a good 2 years for the city. That's it for me.
My name is Bill Barlow. I am serving my 6th term as councilman for Ward 2, running for my 7th term. 5 of the 6 terms I have served as Mayor Pro Tem, and we have a good council, progressive. We are getting things done. We've got a lot of things in the hopper that I would like to see us finish in the coming 2 years.
I'm Charlene McMahon in Ward 3. This is not the first time I've been on the council. In the late 70s and early 80s, I served 6 years on the council. I enjoy it. I enjoy the study. I enjoy checking everything out before we vote on it. The girls in the office are so used to me calling it, what is this for? You know, explain this to me, because we just get what it's supposed to, you know, what people are asking for, and I want to know what's behind it so I check into everything. I enjoy working with people. Years ago, when we had the bank in town called the Arizona Bank, I worked for the Arizona Bank. Then it became Security Pacific. I worked for them. But when it came to Bank of America, I resigned because Bank of America is not a supporter of any kind of guns, and so I'm a gun person, and I wasn't going to work for them.
I'm Jim Neubauer. They call me Lefty, and I'm your Ward 4 council person. I just want to continue what we've been doing. Like Colin, Bill, and Charlene said, we've done a lot, that we have moved up this town, and as far as Ward 4, I want to continue the progress we've made out there with complaints and things we've taken care of. Still a lot of things to do, but I want to make sure it gets taken care of out there as well. Thank you.
All right, so we're all set. Would anybody like to start off with a question? Go ahead, ma'am.
For those who do not know me, I am Colin's mother-in-law. God bless her.
You have our sympathy.
I'll hit him for you.
I'm concerned about some of the things I'm hearing around town. I have not been able to attend the others. I'm recovering from a complete knee replacement on my leg, so getting around is not as easy as it used to be. So I've heard people saying that they want other things to come into town and to expand upon things that aren't here. That kind of makes me nervous. I was raised in the 50s and 60s. Westerns were a way of life. People come here for that experience. If you were to go and change things that are currently there, except your circuit pay, which I think is a great improvement, you're going to lose that ambience that brings and makes Tombstone so special. when you start to talk about doing things now, it takes 2, 3, 4 years down the road for it to occur. And we certainly have learned that by the sale of the high school. It's certainly, finally, they're here, they're taking it. Did they really? I'm not sure on that. So I'd like to know how much you'd like to see change in the community, which is why my husband and I brought me in to build a house here.
Change or growth?
Let me just say, I don't agree with what you just said.
Yeah,
Growth,
not growth.
that sounds like national politics to me.
Okay.
Okay, you're a small town, and you're small because that's the way it is. Your tax base is not large. So to get all these things done, you don't have a tax base to do that. I've seen 4 different organizations come in here and want to do something between wine and everything else, and then they just leave. The sale of the high school is very, very important, but understand it's full of asbestos, and it's going to take at least 3 years to get that asbestos out of the high school. So when you're planning, plan for your community. Growth comes from that planning, okay? So go for it, guys. Any of you please.
And whoever wants to answer, yeah, go for it.
Okay, one thing that a lot, you hear people that's running against us, or anytime there's election, you hear people say, when I get elected, I'm going to do this. No, you're not going to do that. It takes all of us to work together. We may have a good idea, and it takes a while to get it passed, but one of us just cannot get something done.
That's correct.
We're a team, and that's how we have to work, is as a team.
Good answer.
I'd like to make a couple of comments in regards to that.
Can you speak up just a little bit?
Okay, I'll try. You may have to move down a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I just want to make sure.
I'll wind him up for you.
Okay.
I speak softly and carry a big stick, so that way I can. I would like to address what she said. It's a very difficult position to be in and try to work with progressive growth, and that's what she's talking about. Because people they come to town with a lot of good ideals. A lot of them are not compatible to our Old West. We are a national registered historic town community. We do have guidelines that we have to abide by, and I would love to see the high school developed into commercial and start producing some tax revenue, because it's been sitting empty for an excess of 15 years, and that's ridiculous. It's had offer after offer, cash offers for more than $450,000. So it should have been already sold and already developed, but that's not our thing. We can't force it to be, but it's very difficult to grow and grow within the parameters and guidelines that we have to adhere to.
All right, you guys.
And to change a town tombstone would be like changing the American flag. You can't do that. This town is historic, and it is made, it is here for a reason. Because that man Ed Shefflin, he wasn't just coming through. He knew what he wanted, and here it is still today.
All right, anybody else question?
Yeah, I have one. Are you open to light industry or large or semi-large stores outside of the historic district?
I don't mind answering that. We have, of course, our hotels. The big hotels are out at the edge of town, and if a big box store came out in that area and wanted to relocate, I would be very much for it. Provide services to our people, because one of the many problems we have in Tombstone is services of all types. So if a big box store wanted to come, sure, I would be all for it.
And I agree with Bill on that one, but don't put it within the boundaries of the closeness of the town. I mean, we have to drive to Sierra Vista to go to Walmart. It wouldn't be have a 10-minute drive to go outside of town to go to another industrial place or another shopping center. But in town, no.
Not in town, no, but outside the historic district, plus a bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
My take on that, John, is there's so many people in town that just so geared to go to Sierra Vista. You have to make sure you've got people to support that business that comes in. You know, years ago, now I'm old, guys, and I go way back here in Tombstone, being here 51 years. I remember when we had a meat market in town, one of the best meat markets there ever was in town. And, you know, we don't have things like that anymore. We don't have a grocery store. We did have, but we don't have. And so it depends on whether it would be patronized by people in town or not.
Well, with only 1,300 people, or maybe 2,500 in the whole area, the chances of a big box coming are
It's
Slim to
slim
none.
and none.
Yeah, generally, big corporate stores like that, they won't even touch a place unless they have more than 25,000 people.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So in fact, and the only reason why Benson has it's because they have Marine, they're like kind of south
Right.
of Tucson over
Right.
there. You know, so they,
Yeah.
And they catch a lot of people going
They catch
between
a lot
here
of
and there.
people, right,
That's
right.
it.
Our
So-
city just, you know, they're in the pipeline with getting that whole bus route started to help get the citizens to Sierra Vista for doctor's appointments, for shopping and those kind of things. And that should be happening very soon. You know, bus drivers hired already, the bus is purchased already, so we're,
and that's a big accomplishment that you guys did.
Yeah,
That thing's up and
we're just waiting for the lift to be put on the van, so those in wheelchairs can get into the van. It's what we're waiting on right now.
All right. You said that you wanted to continue some things that you were working on. In your prospective districts, what do you think are one or two of your top concerns of your constituents for each one of you?
in Ward 1, roads would be number one. And I don't know that there is really a number 2. I know that people are concerned about the roads, and especially in that area. And now monsoon season obviously brings out the best in everybody in their road situation. So it all rolls downhill and it comes towards us.
Susan, that's a good question. One of the things I would like to see, and I thought I was going to get part of that in the Circle K deal when I talked to Mac, and that's sidewalks. Everybody in town, if you get away from the boardwalks, you're going to be walking in the edge of the street. And we are a senior citizen community, as you well know, and I would like to see more advancement in sidewalks because they help everybody. And most everybody, well, half the people in town walk to the post office. So from a safety standpoint, we need a good sidewalk program.
My biggest problem that I would like to see is the senior center. We have no parking over there at the senior center. And when some of these people that are older than I walk in with their walkers and they have to park a half a block away, and it's so hard for them to get in the door as it is. So we really need one way of trying to fix it where we can get more parking over there just for the senior center. There's so many people in town that depend on that senior center. Of course, anyone that's old like me can go, but there's a lot of them that really do depend on it. And I always feel sorry for them when they're trying to get in the door and they can't get in the door because they've walked so far to get to the door to begin with.
As far as Ward 4 goes, I've had a lot of people ask about the roads, especially Camino San Rafael and some of the farther places out in Ward 4. And I've done what I can, and you may have noticed, the striping went on the roads the other day, and I was so happy to see that. And I had many calls thanking me for getting that done, but it wasn't just me. It wasn't just me at all. It was the city, Public Works, and Cochise County. They're the ones that did it.
Yeah.
And then maintenance of some properties where some were overgrown. Right now with the rains and things, it's tough to keep up on it, but we've been able to take care of some of the situations we've had calls about. And very rare do I get any more complaints about that. But I still try to keep up on it because I want to make sure everybody is happy there as long as they are happy with everything in town.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Susan.
Yes, ma'am.
So I have two questions.
You're only allowed one.
Well, I have two. First of all, and I thank you all for meeting like this and Jeannie for setting this up. So Colin, this was your first year. What was the biggest
This is
thing?
second year.
Well, first term. First term.
Excuse me, your first term. Let me exchange that word. What was the biggest thing you learned and what was the biggest challenge you had to overcome? I'm not sharpshooting, I'm just curious.
No, that's okay. The biggest challenge to overcome, I think, would have to be, you asked me to get something done. I promise you I'm going to get it done. I can't get it done without the help of everybody else. So I thought that I would have more pull, where ultimately I only have 20% of the pull on getting certain things done. You know, I think that was certainly a challenge that I didn't anticipate, and not that you guys have disagreed with much of what I've said. I'm not saying that. I just thought that it would be easier to snap my fingers. Okay, I'm somebody.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm
That's
somebody
right.
important. Maybe I can get this done, and I learned that I'm not that important.
Thank you, because you know I'm not even in your ward.
Yeah.
That was just a Kim curiosity question.
Do you mind if I respond to that question also?
Pardon?
Do you mind if I respond to that question?
How many terms have you been there?
I can
I
remember.
don't remind you now.
I
don't
can,
remind you
I
now.
can remember the person, but I'd like to make a point because Colin alluded to it. And this is understandable. I have been out there, not part of the city. And when you're outside looking in, it's like I'm a member of the Lions Club, and people think the Lions Club ought to do this and do that and something else. Well, they need to join and find out what the Lions Club do. And it's the same way with the city. We're criticized a lot for what we do or what we don't do. And I tell my friends and if I have enemies, I tell them, why don't you run for office and get on the council, and you'll see it's not as easy as it looks like. When we talk about our annual budget, 6 million plus and from year to year, and you got to remember that budget is building in a couple of $1 million in grants that we hope to get. It doesn't mean we're going to have $2 million in grants to spend. We hope we do. So technically we're looking at $4 million. Try to run any business, most of your business people, and run unfunded. It's very difficult. You have to take care of the gotta-be's before you can do the wanna-be's. And that is very, very difficult to do because people, they get up in the morning, they want their water running, their toilets flushing. When they back out their driveway, they don't want to hit that pothole in the street, and we hear about it. Those are priority infrastructure items. Police department protection, fire department protection, all of that costs money, equipment. We can have a pump to go out, it's $25,000, and it's a $10,000 EPA fine for each day that sewer pump is out. Those things happen, they come up, and we have to finagle and come up with the money somewhere because we can't ignore it for 30 days or 2-3 months. So operating Tombstone with a small pool of money and try to get things done, sometimes you got to be a magician. And for those that, I wish we could have a program where people that really want to know could be involved for say 30 days and get a little better view of the inside, what's really happening.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'll let somebody else go before I ask the second question.
I'd like to add just one thing to what he said. We have a financial person out of Tucson that is fantastic, that does our budget, does all the finances for us when it comes budget time. He's Johnny on the spot. You know, I've been in bookkeeping for years. I would hate that job. I would literally hate it, but he does such an excellent job. So he doesn't leave us any doubts with what he does and the way he puts a budget together for us. Yeah.
Here.
He keeps us legal most of all.
Yeah,
because
right.
There's so many federal, state, even county rules financially we have to abide by, and he knows them. He's been in this business for many years. He was city clerk of South Tucson for many years. So he has the experience in that field. And without him, we would probably be fined very frequently for violation.
And I'm in full agreement with what they all said. The only challenging thing I thought Colin might have had a worse problem with was putting up with Bill, Charlene, and myself. But so far it hasn't come that way, and we're glad.
Thank you, and that was just a pure curiosity question,
Sure.
Colin, and God
Yes.
bless you for
No
serving
problem.
in the city council and putting
I can
your-
tell you,
your
sitting
name in
next
that.
to him, that when he first came on, he had some expectations of things that I knew that time would deal with him.
But that's okay, you know, that's. sometimes-
Everyone's got a
sometimes
first
you
day.
need that.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm
So, Mr. Neubauer.
Yes.
So I was reading through, I don't make every city council meeting. And in June's council meeting, the subject to accept the bid for the senior center, it was on the agenda, and you made the motion to approve it, with, I believe it was R&B Construction, I forget, it's 2 letters. And so how much was that grant? And was it, or how much was the bid? Was it paid fully by grant, or was it grant and city money? Not sharpshooting.
I would have to check back on that and get back with you on that one.
Okay, does anybody have that answer?
It was grant money, what's being
Yeah.
spent. It is,
Okay.
it's called a Colonius grant,
Yeah.
and you have to have the project shovel ready, and before you can, they will
And I
pass
think
it.
it's a great
We
thing.
applied 2 years ago, and we got close, but
And I think it's a great thing. I was just wondering how much the bid was, and if the grant paid for all of it.
just to show you how far without the grants, in '06, Andre DeJournay was mayor, I was mayor pro tem, and we got a grant. That old firehouse, the ceiling was falling down and the wall was falling out and down in the mine shaft. And we had a grant for like $550,000, and it didn't get it done. We had to come up with another $75,000 to finish the project. That was in '06. So you can see in that length of time, we're going to spend another, what is it, 250,000 or that grant? So maintaining our buildings it's a big drain on us.
Oh, I agree, and I know it's.
We're
it's
working on
paramount.
Sheffield Hall